people that wanted to tune in that couldn't.
Sure.
But really, I mean, it's not formal. I just wanted to kind of chat with you guys a little bit and see how your Arcanum experience was, and Sphere 0 and 1, and you know, what you love, what you don't love, what should be in, what shouldn't. I'm starting to build Sphere 2, and I'm doing something totally different than the other masters, so I just wanted to get some feedback from you guys on where you are. Does that sound okay?
Fine by me.
Okay.
Yes. I'm going into the vet to pick up my dog, so I'm going to mute myself from time to time, and I'll come right back.
Okay, sounds good. Is anybody on? I know, Paul, you have your show coming up in a little bit, so I'm gonna put you on the forefront.
The show starts at around about 7:30. I've got some guests coming online. So if I can leave around about past 7, that would be great.
Okay. Well, then I'm gonna put you on the spot first and spend a few minutes with you. That way, if you want to hop out, you can. And I already got to chat with you.
I forgot something else.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Hey, honey.
I'm gonna mute him. Okay, so Paul, tell me a little bit about the Arcanum.
Muted.
Remind me, who was your master?
Who are you talking to? Me? Paul?
Yeah. Paul, I think your connection's like wonky.
Link. Just bear with me a second.
Okay. Sometimes it helps to just go out and come back in. I've had to do that a few times and then it was fine.
Yeah. Just I just
Press
got a
A
blank
to-
screen at the moment. I can hear you. This is crazy.
I can hear you now. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. I just can't see you. There's no connection.
Oh.
And so I'll carry on, and then if we lose the link, because I don't want to hold everyone up. So what actually did you want to know about me, Jessica?
Just how your experience was so far, what you're looking to do. I know you and I talked briefly about you considering Path of the Protege, and you run your program, and but as far as photography goes, where are you now and where are you looking to be?
Okay. I was in Valerie Jardin's street cohort, went through that. So with Valerie, she basically stopped the cohort after myself and 4 others completed into the Lounge 20. That cohort has now been taken over by James Mayer. I haven't really revisited back into it. I've just been staying in Lounge 20, getting involved with sharing photos, coming up with some ideas for myself as regards to projects which I wanted to do. One of which is Life at 1/15 of a second, which I've been blogging about. So basically my photography interest is based around street photography. Listening to your discussion this afternoon, which was very worthwhile in actual fact, if there is one goal, I want to run workshops and I want to teach photography.
Okay.
So that effectively is my goal. I'm in a transitionary period. If I could just very briefly explain. I'm about a year and a half away before my business, not my business, the business is closed down. So I'm in a situation where I want to try and get myself into a situation where I've got a business which I can basically work into and develop prior to that closure and set myself up.
Okay. Are you okay with me asking personal questions while we're recording?
Depends
how about this? I'm gonna ask because I'm nosy, and you guys can feel free to plead the fifth.
If I say I'll take the Fifth Amendment, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah, you guys can go. We'll chat about that later. So, if your business that you're working at now is going to close in about 18 months, what's the income that you would have to make to not have to change your quality of living? So what's the bare minimum? What are you making at your job right now?
I'll take the Fifth Amendment on that one straight away.
Okay.
No,
well,
I don't wish to sound candid about this. I'm in a good position, put it that way. I've got a couple of other irons in the fire, which I don't necessarily have to rely 100% on my photography.
Okay.
But it'd be nice to have photography as an additional business to what other things I'm considering to do.
All right. Well, let's shift then away from what you need. But let's put it this way: in an ideal scenario, if I could get you to where you want to be in 18 months with your photography, how much money would you be making a month, ideally? Just from photography, like, are we talking like 1,000? Or
this aspect I haven't really thought about. Yeah, I think you're probably talking about that $5,000. You're talking about that sort of figure, which I think I would have to start at. But yeah, we'll go with that flow to start off with. Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's good. It's good to have those goals. Like, a lot of people say things to me like, I want to make my income from photography. You know, I want to be comfortable. That's always the thing. I just want to make enough to be comfortable, but they don't actually know what that is. And it's like, it's essentially like saying, I want to visit America. You know, I want to go visit America. That's a really big place that encompasses a lot. So let's narrow it down.
Yeah.
Caleb, I want you to make your dog a G+ profile and put him in our Sphere 2 as a mascot because he's so cute.
I'm in a situation. I'm in a situation, Jessica, where I fully appreciate that making money out of photography, solely out of photography, is an extremely hard business. Especially coming from a street photography interest, rather, not an environment, is an extremely hard thing to do. Plus, on top of that, but photography will not be my main income.
Okay, that's fine.
It's like an add-on, basically, if you want to say, an enjoyable add-on, if you see what I mean.
Okay, and that's totally fine. I'm okay with that as long as your choice to do that is because you don't want it to be your main thing, not because you think it's not possible. Because I don't believe for a second that it's difficult to make all your money at photography. I make $4,000 to $5,000 every time I pick up my camera now.
Yeah.
You know, so it's totally possible. I mean, I've had months where I've made, I think my highest month was 32,000.
Right.
You know, but I average somewhere between 8,000 and 12,000, which is, depending on where you are in the world, for most people can get by on that and then some. You know, so for me, when people are like, I don't think I can make all my income at photography because I'd have to make like $1,500 a month. Like, I have to like try really hard to keep a straight face because I think that that's really easy. A lot of it is just a shift in mentality in how you're thinking about making money.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have other people that have probably been telling you since you picked up a camera, you'll be a starving artist, you can't make money as a creative, and then especially like you won't make money at photography, but you especially won't make money at this branch of photography. And street photography is probably one of the more difficult ones in terms of if I had to rank which ones were the easiest. But I don't think that it's impossible. So
no, I understand exactly where you're coming from. Yeah, you do hear a number of people saying street photography is the most difficult genre to make money out of because effectively it's just creating books or you get some commercial work. But from my aspect, I'm looking at it from a teaching and a workshop opportunity. So yeah, it's a case of really sort of trying to scheduleize it, for want of a description. I appreciate that the first day I start workshops, I'm not going to be doing a workshop every single week or every single month. It's got to be a general build-up over a period of time.
Okay. Well, then I think. So here's a little bit about what I want to do at Sphere 2 is I'd like to spend some time with you and really get a clearer idea of what it is you're looking to accomplish overall. So when we say I want to be successful in my photography, what does that mean? Because it sounds like you love shooting street photography, but for you, a big part of the success comes in the financial and the business from the standpoint of workshops and teaching and stuff like that. And the Arcanum may fit into that too, with you teaching online as well as like in-person workshops. So right now I'm leaning towards, if I pick you up, what we would probably be doing is building you a customized sphere designed to operate around an 18-month time period to get you to your goal of where you want to be by the time your other job ends, so that it's a seamless transition, and building a lot of that business around workshops and teaching and getting the notoriety and your name out for there. You do a really, really awesome, it's not a podcast, it's a video
that's right.
conversation, but I like that, and I would like to see that get a little bit more notoriety, because I was watching your channel and you get a lot of replay views, but I'd like to see a lot of people jump in on that live and have some interaction there. I think that would be really beneficial for a lot of people. So I think that you have a lot of interesting products and things to offer, but it's looking like your clients are less people and more other photographers that could benefit from you. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, it would actually. Yeah, I think what in actual fact happened at the outset of the Arcanum was I didn't expect to get invited into a street photography cohort. But when I did get the invitation, it was something which caught my imagination, my interest, for want of description, and the way it worked. And I found that photographer, I'm not a studio photographer by any stretch of imagination. I don't feel comfortable in that situation. I like doing some landscapes. I like doing cityscapes, and some travel photography. So it all sort of works around that idea of my idea of a workshop would be out on the street, so to speak, rather than yeah, I'll do some online stuff as well, obviously, but I think the majority of my workshops would be out on the street. I have set up, I don't know whether you're aware of Meetup. Have you heard of Meetup out in the States at all? Okay, I have set up a Meetup group called Streetwise, and I've got about 30 to 35 members of that group now.
Okay.
But with the work that I do, as you saw earlier on in an earlier chat, the early part of the year, January through to June, is just jam full of work for me in the exhibition business. And now I have a quiet period where I'm hoping that I'll be able to do a couple of little sort of walkabouts with that Meetup group.
Okay. So I have a interesting question for you. Let's say that we get to the end of your time here, and they're celebrating your life and all your accomplishments as an artist in the magazine of your choice. What is it that you wanted to say about you? Is it well? This is important because this is the ultimate goal.
It's a very, very good question. I must remember that for when I do my show. What do people want to remember you by? Do you know what? I would really. I've just redone my introduction on the profile page. I've always wanted to be a teacher. Always wanted to be a teacher from about the age of about 12. I'm in my 50s now. So. But for one of the reason not getting the qualifications, I ended up working in the city. I worked in the city for 20 odd years, money broking there. So I never really got the opportunity to teach until I took up golf and played a lot of golf and teaching, that sort of thing. So, what would I like it to say? He's a good teacher. That's what I would really like.
Excellent. All right, now as far as the Arcanum goes, what's your favorite thing about it?
Interaction like this. I love the Hangouts. I think it's great. I think it's good. I think, in actual fact, I said this when I first started the Arcanum. I learned more about photography and street photography in 5 days of being part of that cohort than in 5 years of being members of camera clubs. I've only been a member of 2 camera clubs. It's the interaction, not only with the master, Valerie, she was superb, but it was the interaction with the fellow members in the cohort, the fellow apprentices. Some of which I still keep in touch with now, who are not in the Arcanum. 4 of us have set up a collective called the White Hat Collective, and it's all about street photography, about printing and that sort of thing. So
Nice.
the art canon for me was just not the master experience, which I think a number of people expected it to be more of. I think they expected to be able to sort of dial up and say, "Hi Valerie, I want a quick chat with you about my work." It was never going to be like that. But I think where I benefited more from was the master reaction, obviously, in the critique sessions, which is very valuable. But it was the interaction with the fellow apprentices, which I really appreciated, and I think is the underlying. It's the strapline really of the Arcanum that we should all be looking for.
I think different masters bring different things to the table. I didn't actually get to spend a lot of time with her before she left, so I'm not too familiar with her or her cohort, but that's exactly what I do. So you guys will have that with me because I think that's really essential. Like, I like doing the weekly hangouts, but I do something that I call karma points. So you earn karma points every level that you go up. You earn karma points when you tell me a joke I appreciate. You earn karma points because I like your beard. You earn karma points when I see you do something awesome for one of the other apprentices. I deal them out at random. Morgan got a whole bunch of them because it's his birthday today. And we keep track of them. So at any point, those karma points are exchangeable at a rate of 1 karma point per minute. So basically, if you have 180 karma points, you can go, "Hey, J-Dark, I'd really like an hour to sit down with you. I'm going to trade in 60 karma points." So it's like a currency in here. And what that helps me do is, while I do give some away for silly and amusing things, most of them you're earning through critiques and levels. Because I'm not willing to work harder for any of you than you're willing to work for yourself. So it's just a way of sort of seeing how hard you're working. And also, as you get up higher in the sphere, you're usually working more intensely, so I want to be able to give the attention to the people that need it most. I'm keeping office hours now. So every Monday and every Thursday, you guys can go on and you can book a 30-minute or a 1-hour time slot for one-on-one time, and I'm doing these because I do think that's important. For the rest of you, are you guys pretty much in agreement that the Hangouts and the one-on-one is the benefit of the Arcanum as opposed to others, or is there something else that you find that's a really strong benefit? Yeah.
That's pretty much the benefit.
Okay.
Community in general.
Community? Okay. Do you guys find that you're learning as much from your fellow apprentices as you are your masters?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. I saw some work by some guys which I would never even thought about doing in terms of street photography. So
Don't
yeah,
you love
I
that?
did.
I do that too with you guys,
Yeah.
like as apprentices, and even in the Path of the Protege. Like, I see some of the stuff you're doing. Like, I have to redo my Meet the Master after seeing yours because you guys set the bar way high. And I'm like, their Meet the Masters are better than mine, and I'm running the program to train them, which is good. I like that you guys step up the bar. So you guys went through 2 spheres. What did you not have that you wish you had, or what do you wish there was more of, or what did you have that you wish you didn't have?
I have posted this in Lounge 20, so it doesn't come as any surprise. I was very disappointed with the way Lounge 20 was set up. Yeah, I knew that there was going to be a period of time where we were going to have to sit and wait. As you probably know, I had a show with Curtis, and it was a case of, do you pay for the taxi driver or do you wait till you got the passengers? It's a very sort of difficult balancing act, which I know they have to do. But I would have liked to have seen there being more sort of goals set and levels set within in the Lounge 20, just to basically keep us ticking over, really. How that would have been policed or trafficked, I really don't know. But that's what I would have liked to have seen. I enjoyed doing the sharing the photos bit with the theme. That was great. But in the end, of course, that does start to get a little bit, dare I use the term, boring. And I would have liked to have seen some different aspects and different levels of, you now got to do a portrait. I don't do portraits, so that would have been a real good task for me. You've now got to do, I don't know, a landscape, a cityscape, all sorts of different levels, which I think should have been introduced to the Lounge instead of what we've got at the moment. And I would just like to say a little caveat under that. I can understand fully why that wasn't introduced at the outset, because I think the top guys, and I mean that respectfully, Trey and Curtis and Peter Giordano, are obviously learning as they go on. I can appreciate that, but that's what I feel about Lounge 20. It was a little bit disappointing when I got there.
Okay. How about in your actual cohorts when you were going through the levels?
There was good interaction. We had a number of people drop out because, as I mentioned to you, I think they expected a little bit more from the master. But with Valerie traveling around the world quite a bit, they were never going to get that. I realised that as soon as I joined it. But there was a good interaction within the group as we went through the levels. You know, some guys saying, "Look, come on, let's get you into level 6 or 7 or whatever, that sort of stage, that sort of work."
Okay. So you guys are all aware, having sat in, you know, in the 20 lounge, that there's a tuition fee to move up to the next sphere. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is my big question, because I think that this is really essential. I think that the $80 a month is a really good value, because essentially it breaks down to less than $3 a day. Having access to the community and the masters.
Sorry, Jessica, could you repeat that, because you cut out as you were talking?
That's okay. I said I think the $80 a month is a really good value, and some of the masters question whether or not that's too high of a rate. But when you break it down, it's less than $3 a day. So essentially, you have full-time access to a professional for less than your Starbucks order. You know, for less than a fast food meal, as long as they're giving you value. But when we're asking you to make a significant investment in addition up front, then I feel like the value that you're getting at Sphere 2 has to be more than what you were getting at Sphere 0 and 1. So what makes it worth it for you guys to put that additional investment in?
I'm just doing a bit of calculation here. I need the other guys to talk.
Okay.
Thank you. Give me a minute.
This is good. And Mel, this is a good one for you too, because you're in the path of the protege right now. So this is something that you have to answer: is what is the value that I'm giving that makes it worth the money and the time that you're investing? Because it's both. It's a lot of time, and it's a good bit of money continuously.
Yeah, I'd say probably hosting special events. Maybe tag along hangouts to shoot, things like that. Maybe live events.
That sounds good. I like those. How do you guys feel about being on set while your master is working, like just having them let you be a fly on the wall? Is that beneficial if they're not teaching?
You know, I would say it's probably beneficial to some. You know, for me with my goals, I don't know how much it would help, but you know, with my direction and my, you know, with what I'm after. But I think that yes, that's probably beneficial to a lot of people.
Okay.
That's my experience.
Well, since it's not in line with your goals, let's hear your goals.
Oh, I have. Well, I mean, I know you know I've got a travel company, and I actually currently keep a business coach, getting me moving forward so I don't make any horrible fails. But you know, my goal is strictly to, you know, build workshops and help other photographers fill those workshops, not even necessarily my own. I'm less worried about filling my workshops. I lose more sleep over, am I going to get like Lisa Speitman, I'm working on one for next year for her to Hungary for 14 days, and I lose more sleep of, am I going to be able to figure out how to fill that trip for her as opposed to, you know, my own on the North Shore of Minnesota shooting for 5 days, and
right.
you know, because I don't want to let somebody else down. You know, mine I'm a little more, you know, laid back about, but I'm not, you know, like where I'm at is I'm not. I came to the realization I'm not as. I mean, I want to shoot photos when I travel, but I don't want the headache of having to sell them and and deal with that. I just want to, you know, build a travel business with photography.
Okay.
And that's, you know, what I'm after. So that's why I'm saying, you know, I'm not sure.
Okay, so with your travel company, and yours is basically based around essentially being a a travel agent and event planner for other photographers that are planning workshops.
Yeah, what happened was my dad had 20 years in the business, and I kept having people go, I'd have, a photographer. Well, I wish I knew somebody in pick the country to, so I could do a workshop there. And I started thinking about it, and I'm like, I've got this, Rolodex full of 400, 300 something, contacts all over the world. I can easily help be the guy in between with these companies that have, that I know are quality when you get there, as opposed just to an internet search and a hope. And so I started, and that's what it started. It was like, okay, let's do this, and it's turned into more, just because of that. And I tell people that I have the worst business plan on the planet because I'm more worried about helping people than making money. And so, like, I mean, I won't even hide it. It's like for like Hungry with Lisa, if it goes, I mean, I make less than a travel agent on the deal, because I want to get it out there and have the photographers have fun and not get jerked around, I guess, because there's so many people out there trying to like abuse the situation, and so that's kind of like kind of where I'm at.
Okay. So I'm going to have to beat on you the whole time that it's okay for you to make money and be concerned about people.
I've gotten it. That's why I have a business coach. He basically made me fix everything for next year, and quit paying for the advertising and everything out of my pocket, and made me make the business cover its own expenses, and so, and not be quite as nice. So.
Okay, so if you have a business coach that you're paying outside the Arcanum to help with that, are you looking for a different perspective to help put that further, or what are you looking for?
I got kind of lucky with the business coach. It was more of a mutually beneficial relationship.
Okay.
Because for 15 years I've done website design and SEO, and they needed website and SEO work really bad, and I needed someone to get me on the straight and narrow, and so it was actually a very mutually beneficial relationship to get me there. That I didn't have to pay with other than time, which is one thing I am fortunate in life that I have lots of. So that was kind of nice. So that's why this is interesting. I'm like, another perspective, from a photographer's view that's there. Definitely is interesting to me. I don't believe in closing any doors, and look at everything.
I'm all about that too. If you are seeing the kind of success and growth that you want with this person, though, then you have the option to either gain another perspective and get a second opinion, or to focus elsewhere. But I mean, same question. When you talk about the direction you want to go and what success looks like, is this business your life, or
my goal is within 12 months to not have to do websites anymore.
Okay.
is the reality of it, and make enough off this. Is what I'm actually actively moving towards.
Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing, and you can also plead the fifth, and we can do this later, but do you have an idea of how much income you'd have to be making to let go of the websites? Okay.
And here, I will share it with you in a private chat.
Okay, perfect.
Right now.
This is interesting. Now let me ask you guys, why is it difficult for you guys to share your numbers publicly? What are you worried about?
Actually, I've shared this number publicly.
Okay.
And because of where I live in the country, people freak out because my cost of living is so cheap here.
Right.
And I don't want. I just really don't want to have that conversation about cost of living at the moment. Not that I really care.
Okay.
It's that I can buy a house here for $27,500, and there's $27,500, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Okay,
it's that
so
I live in a part of the country where the cost of living is so cheap, it's not even funny. And so
the number that you gave me in the chat, is that annually or is that monthly?
Yeah, that's all I got to make. If I made that annually, I would be comfortable here, actually.
Okay. And
obviously, I'll make more, but that's my target number to where I don't have to do websites anymore, and then I can reevaluate everything and set the next goal. But that's the first one to where I can walk away from my web business and sell it off.
Okay. Now, is that number what you're making with your websites, or that's the total? If that's your annual income, you're okay.
That's my total right now.
Okay. Okay. Good to know. All right. I don't think that that's a problem at all, but I do want to sit down with you and do a one-on-one once we get you in and just delve into that a little more. Okay. So we have your financial goals.
Yep.
Here's my question for you. Fame or fortune?
Neither. Time with my family is the whole reason I do it.
Time with my family. Okay.
The whole reason I can do this and the workshop theory works out is that, and I don't know how many people have planned workshops. There's a lot of planning the very first time, but you can recycle them year after year. So there's, just, exchange rate changes, date changes, but it's minor stuff. Is that I've got 2 little girls, and so my goal is to actually get there because then I can focus my time with them and not worry about anything else and take stuff off my plate.
Excellent. I love that. I just did. Did you see my photo Ignite on time? I'm gonna send it to you.
Okay. Yeah. So no, that's actually what it is. Is that and that's actually one of the benefits of us living here is that it's not very hard to achieve what I need to give them the focus that they need, and not be like, because right now, I mean, essentially, I do website stuff for 5 or 6 hours a day. I do workshop stuff and answering questions for a couple hours a day, and that's 6 or 7 days a week. And so I'm trying to remove that.
Okay. So if time is your priority, which it should be, let's look at it a different way. Instead of worrying about the money or the success and the fame, let me ask you this. How long would you like to work during the week? How many hours would you like to put in?
You guys, I have to run, but I've loved this, and if you want to connect, at a different time, Jessica, I'm good for that.
Okay. Is there any questions or anything that you had that you wanted to touch base before you go?
No, I have no problem sharing my income. No problem sharing my income and what I need, I have no questions. I've seen what you do with other people of your cohort and stuff, and I have a deep, abiding appreciation, respect for it as well. So no, I have no questions at all. And thank you all for being here. I learned a lot just in the short time I was here.
Awesome. Okay, Caleb, I'm going to send you an invite, and let's set up some time to do one-on-one when it's more convenient for you.
That would be great.
Want some one-on-one.
Awesome. Yeah, that would be great. Thanks.
Okay, I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, so
ideally, and I know this is really bad, and that's why this is the one question I don't usually say. My goal is to work less than 10 hours a week.
10 hours a week, perfect.
And then spend the rest of the time with my family. Now, I know that, but now that doesn't include, that's my non-workshop time. Now, like when I got to do workshops, I know I'm going to be gone for a week at a time or 15 days at a time, and that's fine. But when I'm in town or in the country, my goal is to work as little as possible and just answer emails and plan the next trip. But, then when I take off, that's the real work.
Okay, so 10 hours a week, and that would be the regular. How many workshops? Do you go on all the workshops with the people that you sponsor the trips for?
I do at this point.
Hosting them? Do you go?
I do at this point because I've had everybody want me to because I've done them before. Not photography ones, but just like travel workshops, and I know how to deal with the problems that come up. My goal is to do the first one so they can see all the admin stuff they need to watch out for and how to deal with the roadblocks or the hiccups or the potholes or whatever you want to call them, and not do the ones afterwards. But like I'm working with somebody right now. She wants to do a trip to France next year. She's been there a whole lot. I can't go. The dates that she wants to go, if I went, I would come back a single man because I'm not allowed to miss birthdays and anniversaries and certain things. And
That's good.
and yeah, and she's very comfortable going, and it's, you know, right in her niche, and so she's just gonna go, and that's awesome. You know, but I try, you know, the goal is small groups. I don't want, you know, 20 people. So I try smaller groups, and it's easier if you have a photographer there whose job is to show them how to shoot photos, show them how to post-process, teach them the basics, and then have somebody there to deal with the transportation issues and the food and, you know, all the other stuff. And so ideally, I don't say I want to go on all the trips, but it's beneficial to have 2 people on all the trips.
Yeah.
You know, so that, because people are spending their hard-earned money, they deserve to get the focus that they need. So.
Okay, so when you say you know that workshops you'll be gone for a week or 2, are you talking about other people's workshops, or are you talking about ones that you're hosting?
Ones that I'm hosting.
Okay. Okay, so how many workshops would you like to host?
If I could do 7 a year, I'd be golden.
7 a year. And how
Yep.
long are they?
Depends. If they're in the country, I try to do them 7 days, a Sunday through Saturday, so you get 5 days of shooting on location. If they're out of the country, most people want to travel 12 to 14 days because of the plane tickets to leave the country, and they want to make sure they get enough time to justify that travel.
Okay.
So that's kind of the deal there. So it depends on, you know, like where it is. Like I'm working on trying to get something put together for Thailand next year, and that'll be a lot of fun. But it'll be, you know, 12 or 14 days because that's halfway around the world. No one wants to fly halfway around the world, fight 2 days of jet lag to get 4 days worth of good photos to fly home.
Okay,
Yeah.
so with let's assume that you're working your 10 hours a week, you're doing and hosting 7 a year. How many additional workshops would you like to go on that other people are the lead host, or do you not want to do that? You don't want to do that.
I'll do as many as they want. It's you know, I mean, there's a number, you know, I'm allowed so many for my wife box, and I can get about 10 or 11 in a year, depending on the length. You know, so I'd like to do a couple.
10
Total.
in additional to the 7 that you're doing?
No. So 10 total. So it's the 7 I'm doing plus 3.
Okay.
So, you know, but, you know, I mean, the part of it is like I said, I want to make sure that they're having a good time and that they're getting what they want and that they're building their name. And if I'm not needed, I have no trouble not going either. Yeah, I'm pretty easy going about it, actually. It doesn't, you know, it's whatever works.
Okay, now let me ask you this, because this definitely comes into play when you're considering couples and lifestyles, because obviously you have young kids. You sent me her beautiful smile last night. It looked something like this.
That's what, every time she sees the camera, you pick the phone up to take the picture, that's the face you get.
So, you know, every time that you leave, then she's left playing single parent, which I can totally appreciate. My kids are slightly older, but I understand that and where that stress comes in. However, as a woman / spouse, and this may go for the men too, there is a certain point where the amount of money that you are bringing home may concede to me allowing for extra trips. So is that a possibility? Like if you're coming home with new Versace gowns and taking her out to $300 dinners, is she going to be more inclined to be like, sure, you can go on this one?
She might. You know, years ago, that was before we had kids. We were, you know, we had 2 very good incomes, and it was really funny because even then we didn't do that a whole lot, just because she didn't want it. But it's more of that as they get older, she wants the ability to travel also, and that's more of the goal, is that, you know, it can hold up 2 people.
Okay, so if the goal is for her to travel with you, is the ideal scenario for you to be a traveling family and be bringing the children as well on all these epic trips and having no? Okay, good.
I'd rather walk on flaming glass. I mean, I love my little girls, but they're a handful. I mean, eventually I want to take them places, but not on the trips. You know, I mean, when we've already talked about taking them to like Vietnam because it's very safe and beautiful and a fun place to go, and so we've talked about things like that.
Okay. So in that scenario, if the wife was going with you and you guys were doing this as sort of a couple thing, is she stay at home right now? Is she just kind of doing the family thing?
She was until recently. Bless her heart, I couldn't do it. She loves working in nursing homes with old people.
Okay.
And like truly loves it. And she's actually going back to school to get her nursing degree. And that's what she wants to do. And just work there. And so she's kind of there, you know, the benefit of me travel, I mean, the ability for me to travel is that her folks live about 8 blocks from us. So we have a really solid support system. So.
Okay, so chances are if she's going with you, it's family, it's grandparents that are watching the kids. Okay. All right, good to know. All right, that's a pretty good bit to go off of to build a sphere for you. But you have a lot of the information already of what your immediate versus your long-term goals are, and I think that's really beneficial too, because you can make an immediate plan. You know, like we were talking with Paul where he was like 18 months, I'd like to be where I want to be, you know, in my business and financially for that to be, you know, replacing the other job. Where yours is a little bit more fluid, where you know that in 12 months you'd be really happy if you didn't have to do any website work, but you also know that you want this to extend where right now you're severing and leaving mom and the kids at home, but in a couple of years you can do that as a couple, which I think is awesome. So it's very easy to build a plan that accomplishes the now goals while also setting you up to continue traveling towards the future goals as well, which I think is important. What is essential to you and what makes it worth your time and your financial investment in the Arcanum? What are you looking for in Sphere 2?
You know, I knew you were going to ask that question today, and I've been thinking about it, and I just don't know the answer in all honesty.
Okay.
Because I've been trying to, because actually I was talking with another Arcanum member and about Sphere 2, and, you know, I'm going to have to just, you know, get over some personal stuff with that one. Because I kind of feel, honestly, I feel let down with the whole Sphere 2 thing, because I got told back in December when I got out of Sphere 1, oh, it'll be in January you'll have Sphere 2. And then I got told, oh, it's February, oh, it's March, oh, it's April, oh, it's May. And I just, you know, they kept moving the ball. And now we're in July, almost August, and we're there. And it kind of, honestly, as bad as it sounds, because I really enjoyed everything to that point, it left a bad taste in my mouth, you know, so to speak.
That's something that I've been hearing a lot. Do all of you agree? Has that been kind of a resounding thing? Yeah, a little bit. It's okay. Like Mel's like, I'm not going to do more than just make a general noise that could be positive or negative because I'm in the path of the protege. So I can't really do that.
I've been busy enough with the path of the protege and all the other stuff I've got going on that I've been just fine.
Okay. You know,
I would have liked to have been in that position with the path of the protege, but of course, as we had a conversation about it, Jessica, my master left, so I didn't have any sponsor, so that was my problem.
Yeah, well, that was part of it too, because I have been paying attention to you and what you're doing. I do think you're a good candidate. So the nice thing is that if I pick you up into Sphere 2 and we start working on that, I can put you in at the first level to start the path of the protege if that's what you want. So you and I would be having a dual conversation then about maybe going into the path and about what you want to do for Sphere 2.
Okay.
The bottom line is that you guys are right. You know, I can cheerlead for the Arcanum all day, but please know that not only the masters, but the headmasters themselves, everybody was behind the scenes going, we have to do something with these Sphere 2 guys. They're just sitting there. They're going to stagnate, and it's going to ruin the experience. So unfortunately, the problem was and still is that, you know, we really build it as kind of a grassroots thing. So a lot of the masters that they pulled in with the intention of us teaching Sphere 2, Sphere 3, and Sphere 4 but there's nobody up at those levels right now. We had to start at the beginning. So most of us agreed to teach the foundation levels, which is really where we see the proteges and you know, the newer masters that don't have a lot of experience teaching being at. And that's not to say that we're more important or have more talent necessarily, because I actually think that the first sphere is the most essential and important, because if you don't have an experience down there that you love, you're never going to make it to Sphere 2 and Sphere 3. That said, some of you have loved the Arcanum and your foundation levels for the first 20, but you lost a lot of that enthusiasm because you sat too long at Sphere 2 waiting for the next steps. And even talking to Peter, and I'm just going to be really transparent, you know, he sent me the link of all of you guys, and part of the problem was with that, you know, our concept with Sphere 2 was that you guys would get to focus more. So we would have a street photography focused one that would really hone in on all of the things. And it, you know, the higher up you go. So I could run a Sphere 2 as a boudoir photographer that specialized and focused solely on, let's say, posing for the people that really have a hard time posing. And then I could run another one on lighting for the people that really have a hard time lighting, and it would be on that, so you would see essential growth in the areas that you need it, because some of us just get certain things and it's the other things we have a hard time with. For me, I'm an artist through and through. So when it comes to the tech side, like when I started, I would just look at the people and look at my images and go, it's not what I want. It's kind of like, it's a little dark. And then my other friends would be like, well, yeah, you're 2 stops off. You need to, and I'm like, I didn't stop. I took like 50 shots, you know, and they were explaining to me what it meant. But all I knew was that what I wanted it to look like wasn't what it looked like. So I'm very much like from the creative side. Other people are very technical, and I've never used a light meter in my life, and so they'll sit and they'll light and go back and forth, and they do their photography almost like mathematically, and I'm the kind of person that just writes tip and number and lets the people do the math, because I don't do it. So I think I'm just way too right-brained. You know, I didn't realize how many people had a hard time with posing people, and that is like a widespread epidemic of insecurity for portrait photography in general, but especially with women, until I started talking, because that came so naturally to me. So that was really how we saw Sphere 2, and then 3 and 4, it would continue to get more exclusive and intimate as you go. The problem is that there's like 22 of you sitting in level 20 right now that don't have masters. There's about, I think there's 6 of you that are in the path of the protege that might decide to not go up to Sphere 2 because you're getting ready to start your own cohorts, and you might not be able to counterbalance that as apprentice and master off the bat. But for the rest of you, it's like 1 and 1 and 1 and 2 and 1. There's like 4 or 5 landscape people, and then there's 1 boudoir photographer, and then there's 2 street people, and then there's 1, you know, like urbex, and then there's 1 pet photography and 1. So you guys are so spread out that they couldn't decide how to bring the next master in, because if I went and started a boudoir one, I'd have 1 person in there. Mm-hmm. Or you guys would be so bored that you'd be like, God, I really want to learn street photography and focus on that, or I really want to keep doing my landscapes. But yeah, I'll take a couple pictures of girls in their underwear because I'm so sick of sitting here, you know? And then, you know, and there are worse things to photograph, but, you know, that was the juxtaposition that they were in, that they were having a hard time with. So this is sort of the price that you guys pay for really being the pioneers with us. I mean, and it is, and I understand your frustration, and we feel it too, and I can tell you, if Peter had $1 for every time one of the masters said, when do I get my Sphere 2, he wouldn't need the Arcanum anymore because he could retire. You know, it's just, it's a constant conversation.
Well, yeah, I'm not totally opposed, don't get me wrong. It's just, you know, it's kind of like, well, now I got to think more. You know, before it would have been an easier decision. Yeah, no. And it totally is. So I'm hoping to come in and redeem that loss of enthusiasm a little bit.
So here's what I want to do. I don't want to run a focused cohort in any one genre, which is why I invited you guys in, because your landscape and your street and your portrait and your event, like, you're all over the place. And some of you are more focused on workshops and the teaching aspect and the artistry and the shooting aspect, which I also think is fine. What I would like to do is I would like to bring you guys in as a collective into the cohort. And instead of you seeing like level 11, level 12, level 13, what I would like to do is put Jake and Paul and Chris and do it that way and build an individualized sphere. So you would still have 10 levels, and you would be able to go through them and level up. But whatever yours is, it would, right now, yours would be completely build around your ShutterClick adventures and accomplishing that, whereas Paul's would be around workshops and teaching and the business that he wants to build, which will be different than the one that you want to build. So I don't want to have, like, you know, in level 1 everybody submitted 5 images, and level 2 everyone submitted 2 videos from the library, you know. We'll still check in at the 4 and 9 at 24 and 29 for critiques, but your critique may be, show me your promotional materials for your workshops, you know, or show me your website and your blog, or show me the book that you're putting together, your street photography, whatever we decide that to be. So we might not be looking at images at all.
Yep.
Feedback.
Crickets.
What do you guys think? You guys are like, this is a terrible idea.
No, I think it's probably a really good idea. You know, and I guess I sent you a message, you know, privately that's kind of isn't out there yet, and I don't intend it to be until it's done. But that's the, you know, the other side of it is that, and yeah, I think that's probably a pretty solid concept. I mean, you know, I guess, you know, like I told you the other day, I think that for my goals, I would be better off focusing on that than trying to sell photography, because I don't want to go through all the, honestly, I don't want to go through all the headache.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to go through having to, you know, deal with it. It's just, you know, that's more time than I'm willing to. Not that I'm opposed to it. Don't get me wrong. If somebody wants to buy my stuff, I feel very grateful every time I sell something, and I have sold stuff. But I would rather spend my energy someplace else. And if something sells, then hey, great, that's a new lens or something, you know, that I didn't expect.
Well, and that's the point, is that, you know, like, I could run a cohort and have you guys all submit 20 new pieces of work and push that, but if your income and your career and the path that you're going on is leading you towards teaching, it makes more sense to focus your energy towards improving your experience and your knowledge as a teacher and a mentor, and how that feeds in based on your experience as an artist, rather than trying to fit everyone in a box. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, I think if I could just make a point here, Jessica, which I think certainly was my attitude when I first joined the Arcanum, it was just about basically improving my photography. I think basically as we started to go through the levels and we started to think what was going to happen after Sphere 1 had been completed, it took on a totally different ball game. People then started talking about business, photography businesses, and I think this is where I think a number of people thought, oh, that's a different approach to it, but I just want to carry on improving my photography. There will come a situation where you've got to think about if this is something which you want to make into a business. It's fortunate, I suppose, the way you're looking at it, you've got 3 guys here that basically want to teach, or they want to organise workshops. So I think the way you've actually sort of come across the idea of putting this cohort together is a sound one. Bearing in mind, of course, as I did mention when I first got into the Lounge 20, I think there was only about 4 of us in there that wanted to do street photography. And I knew basically at that stage that Ron and, was it Tanya that started the first, or was it Robin?
Ron, Robin, and Mason all have Sphere 2s.
That's right, Mason, yeah, that's right. And I knew at that stage, I thought, they're not going to choose street photographers. You can see the type of work those guys do and what their whole thing about photography is. At that stage, I originally went to Peter Giordano and said, look, can I go back and do another Sphere 1 cohort, maybe switch into something like landscape or cityscape or something different? so that it makes me more attractive as a photographer for selection at this stage. But I think what you've done here is a great idea. I'll be honest with you, cost is a major factor for me, and that's the stumbling block that I have at the moment. And I want to be honest with you on that front. But you know, we can talk further. I think from my aspect, I'm just looking at the time here, so I'm sorry if I'm taking up some time for the other guys because I've got to get ready for my show.
No, it's fine.
Thank you very much. I'd like to have a one-on-one chat with you just to finalise a couple of ideas and thoughts that I've got from the conversation you've had with Jake and in passing comments with others and myself. And then I'll make a decision from there, Jessica, as regards to whether I feel as though it's value for money.
Okay. I think, and you should. You know, you should. This is not a small amount of investment. Do I think that it's worth it? Do I think that the value is there? Yes, I do, but that doesn't change the fact that it is a significant investment, which is part of why I did this rather than just sending you guys the invites in the database, because it's a mutual, this is a relationship. You know, both parties have to be on board, and it has to be mutually beneficial. So if you guys are trusting me, you know, to help move you forward, and you guys are paying for that time, then you better be getting out of it what makes it worth it for you to invest in that time.
Sorry to interrupt you. I did say to some guys who basically, you know, my collective, White Hat Collective, the guys there, I did say that I would be asking you more questions than you would be giving me.
Yes.
Comments. As it's turned out, praise to you, you've given me all the answers that I was going to ask the questions about. Cost, what are you going to do, where do you think you could help me, that sort of thing. So this has been brilliant, and I don't say that lightly, I mean that most sincerely. Yeah, I think there's one point to make, but I forgot what it was. That's the point. If a 10-15 minute chat, that would be brilliant, and then we could oh, that was it, sorry. Previously, I've heard that masters were thinking that Sphere 2 was going to take around about 6 to 8 months. You've mentioned that both times now to myself and Jake that you think this period would be 18 months. I see someone's frowning there. Am I correct on that?
Let me clarify. I said 18 months in regards to you saying that you had 1.5 years to build. So the plan that I would like to do for Sphere 2 would be necessarily a plan of steps that would help you get to there in 18 months. You may complete it and put the time in to do it in 3 months or 6 months. Not necessarily, but I can say that I did test run this with some of my Sphere 1 people, and most of them have been with me for about a year. And again, you know, my apprentice, David Zipperich, he's one that, you know, people say things that really resonate with you, and he said, Jess, you're not goal-oriented, you're growth-oriented. And that has stuck with me since level 4. So that's what I think, because it's great, and we love that you guys want to move in and you want to get up to Sphere 3, but honestly, hang out and let some masters get to Sphere 3 so you don't sit in the Sphere 3 lounge.
Well, that's the other thing. We've got to take our time this time rather than rushing through and getting 19 done in about 3 months and then sitting there around for 6 months waiting to be taken on for the next level. So it's partly our fault, apprentices. For being so quick.
Such a good teachers. Jeez, guys.
Take your time.
No, they have a better handle on it now because they've gone through it. So I think that, you know, they will have it taken care of for the next one. It's just, you know, it's a learning process for us too. You know, nothing like that has ever been done. But I can tell you that a couple of my apprentices that did go into the Sphere 2 lounge, like Ray Warren was with me, and all of my people, I have a community that I call Convergence, which is basically just all the different houses in LARC to converge. Because I like the fact that I'm going to have Sphere 2 people going up to level 30 that can go in and give some really good heartfelt advice to the people coming in at level 1. And I like the community. So right now, like, David's in Spain hanging out with Monica, who's one of my other apprentices. And I like building that interior. So I don't think it's a problem, and I think that you'll find that even if you rush through the levels and you're excited and you're on fire for it and you get through it in 3 months, there's a lot of other stuff that goes on in the community that are conversations and shared images and you know, just back and forth that you guys can have even if you're not in my cohort. Like once you're an alumni, you're in. Like you're a House Lark person, so that's it. You guys can drop me a line anytime. And there's plenty of apprentices that stayed for 10 levels or did their 20 and then got out of the Arcanum that still drop me a line constantly and go, hey, I'm doing this right now. What's going on? Like, it's wonderful that you guys are paying me, and I appreciate that. And the Arcanum has been a really wonderful experience for me as a master, and it's been beneficial financially, you know, as everything should be. But I'm not inviting you guys lightly. Like, if I say that I'm invested in your success, that means I'm invested in your success, not your wallet. You know, and there were a couple of people.
One other question I want to ask you about. You're also still doing.
I'm sorry.
You're still doing Sphere 1, yeah? You're still doing Sphere 1.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're taking on Sphere 2. Admittedly, it's not a big cohort, but you feel as though you're going to have the time to handle both as well as your career.
Yeah, so when we first started, Miss Aniela was in here, if you guys are familiar with her. And she was, I think she was expecting at the time, and she was traveling, and she couldn't commit, and she ended up having to bow out. And I took over her cohort. So I was the first apprentice to run more than one cohort. And I think both of them, you know, talk to them. Talk to the people that are in my cohort. Nicole's one of them. David's one of them. Are there moments? Yes. I don't think that running multiple cohorts has ever been an issue. There were other things, like my father just passed away, so I was gone for a week and a half. You know, there are certain times, like WPPI, I said, hey guys, I'm out for a week or two. I don't know if your masters have done that, but I've seen a lot of masters that are like, I'm traveling this week. I'm going,
well,
you know, like.
I had that with Valerie a lot, but that didn't bother me because I understood Valerie. I knew Valerie before I got into the Arcanum, so I knew that she was going to be doing that.
So here's the important thing, going back to the relationship, is that it is two ways. So if I'm focused and doing other things and I'm making myself scarce when you need something, you know, everybody knows that I am tough love, and tact is not in my repertoire of qualities that I possess. Like, I'm very honest and confrontational about, this is what we're having a conversation about. So please know that you can do the same. It's perfectly fine for you to drop me a line and be like, J. Lark, you have not been in the Arcanum in 4 days. I posted this. I asked for your feedback. You know, just drop me a message. But I do check in pretty much every single day into the cohort chats, individually and collectively, and go, hey, how's it going? I mean, Mel and, you know, who was in here earlier that was with me? Like, the people that are in Sphere 1 do it too, but then when you get into, like, the Path of the Protege, like Mel and Lisa are both in there. Pretty much every morning I drop in and go, hey, Proteges, what's going on? What's new and wonderful in the world of everyone? And I think that that's it. Like, it's not always completely hands-on because I like doing this more than I like plussing and commenting on every individual photo. But be bold about it. Like, you guys are paying for your time, whether you're with me or someone else. If they're not giving you your money's worth, don't just get frustrated and then leave or quit or complain. Like, go to the source and be like, hey, because chances are they're going to be like, you're absolutely right, and I'm sorry, let me set aside 20 minutes to sit down with you right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. I appreciate your comments there.
And you know, gang up on me too. Like, I haven't had it yet, but like, if you're in the cohort, like, you guys can get together and get out your pitchforks and be like, yo, snap to it here.
Yeah. Okay, thanks very much for your time. I'm going to cut out now, prepare for my show, and thanks very much for your time. Really appreciate it. Good to speak to you, hear the other comments from other guys. And let's talk again, Jesse, if you just drop me a line when you've got some free time, and then we can hook up on a hangout.
Yeah, it sounds good. We'll do that.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye. Bye.
All right. Chris, Lisa, and Mel, I haven't gotten to talk to you a lot. Chris and Lisa, I haven't heard a word from you yet. Hi.
I came in late.
How's it going?
I should probably talk briefly because I got to get back to work.
Okay.
This is my lunch. So I of course, I'm on the path to protege. I'd like to start my cohort and get that going for a while before I jump in to a whole new sphere and start working on that because I think it's going to take up a lot of time. But my focus is, I'm actually not entirely sure. I can go either one of two ways. I can focus on the artwork and get a little bit further with that as far as composition and lighting in composition and that kind of thing. Or I can focus more on the business side as far as getting, like, illustrating children's books again. I would like to get more into that again, and maybe doing more galleries and gallery sales. So,
Okay.
so I kind of have go either working on more the artistic side or more the business side, and I have not actually decided which way I want to go yet. So.
Okay. Well, there's two lines of thoughts with that. If I asked you right now which you have a stronger head for, is it the artistry or is it the business?
Neither one at the moment.
Okay, fair enough.
Honestly, they're about equal.
So it's both then, and it means that your sphere should be built around both, because the bottom line is that I can teach you all of the marketing and sales and business tricks in the book, but if you don't have a quality product, it won't sell for a quality price.
Right.
Bottom line. And at the same time, I have seen some incredible artists that nobody knows the name of because they don't know how to market themselves to get the notoriety, let alone the money. So I think that they're both of equal value, and I think there's this stigmatism about us being like creative artists, you know, and nobody gets us, and it's just really hard, and that's why we're always starving. Where we feel like if we focus on business, and I can't tell you how many times I get this criticism, you would not believe the number of people that told me that I sold out, you know, that I'm Little Miss Corporate America now, that I used to care about my art, and I look at my images and how much better they are from when I originally made, you know, friends with them or was hanging around them, and the quality of the artistry is so much better. Like, it's not one or the other. It's not art or business, it's a blend of the two. That's like saying, would you like me to cut off your arm or your leg? Maybe you'd like to keep them both, you know? Maybe they both have their value. Walking, stairs, you know, kicking the dog, those are all going to get a lot harder without your leg. But, you know, feeding yourself, brushing your teeth, playing piano, now may be a thing in the past, you know. So I think it's perfectly fine if you're looking at where you are and going, you know, I need some help with marketing or I need help figuring out pricing, and you're looking at it and going, you know, I feel like my composition could use some work or my retouching or lighting. Like, we can do a couple levels of both and blend them together, and it can kind of be all-encompassing where we're like, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to take and build your portfolio so that you have an impressive body of work to take to a potential client, whether that's, you know, publishers for children's books or art galleries that are going to potentially show your work. And then, depending on what the avenue is, then we can look at how you're going to price your work for potential book sales, or what your prints are going to go for in a gallery and what we're considering for that. So I think it's totally fine to blend the two. Or you can do both. Now tell me, what do you really love to shoot? What really sets you on fire as an artist?
I don't shoot anything in particular. I mostly do compositions.
Okay.
But I do a lot of natural and not really landscape, but wildlife type of stuff.
Okay. But what do you really love? Like, what do you want to be known for? When somebody says your name, what do you want people to think of? Like, are you an incredible, like, composite artist? Give me, okay, I'll tell you what. If you could be any other artist or photographer in the world, who would you want to be?
MC Escher, maybe? Or
Okay.
sort of a cross between MC Escher and Scott Mutter.
Okay. Okay.
Kind of a little bit of abstract. what mixed in with a little bit of photography and some artworks thrown in.
I like it. Would you rather have your work on a gallery or a book cover?
Oh, book cover.
Book cover?
Easy.
Good. That was very definitive. So it would seem to me like because you knew the answer to that one right away and you didn't have to think about it, then I would say that the sphere one would be focusing maybe the first half of the levels on the artistry and the composition on book covers, because that's unique. Like, most people don't have to take into concern how the composition affects the title and the author lines and, you know, how it fits around the edging of the book and, you know, bindings and stuff like that. That's a totally unique thing in terms of pricing too. So I would think that we could spend the first half of it working on the artistry of the book cover and the second half on marketing that to be able to get you on the covers of more books. How does that sound?
That would probably work.
Okay. How about, what else?
I gotta go.
Okay, then you go, and we'll discuss more.
It was good hanging out with you guys.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Later.
All right, Chris, you're on the hot seat.
I'm up.
I gotta run. I got the kids screaming it's nap time.
Okay.
So my oldest wants me to go. I can hear her screaming, "Daddy's supposed to tuck me in." So.
All right, go do that.
Let me know when you want to chat again.
I will. We'll touch base soon. I'll drop all of you a line in the Hangouts, and then we'll go from there.
Sounds good. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye, Jake.
Thanks, Jess. Yep.
All right. Before you were so rudely interrupted. Oh, thanks, Karma.
Hey, puppy.
Okay. So, Chris.
So where do I start? There's if you go right back to the start, I started with Ollie.
Okay.
And my academic experience has been awesome.
That guy.
Yeah, nothing short. I'm sorry. Yeah, exactly. Sphere, Foundation Sphere 1. It was absolutely awesome. I moved into the Level 20 lounge not expecting that there was knowing what the lay of the land was. I wasn't expecting to be picked up straight away, and so I've been there since April, so it's not too many months. So I'm like, I'm not sitting there going, this sucks or anything like that. So so that's why I was keeping silent, because I didn't want to be like the positive voice when other people have legitimate vents, but sort of I just don't have any.
I think a lot of that is just personality too and perspective. Like, you just strike me as a positive person to begin with. There's a great news clip that I love where there was some kind of natural disaster and everybody's sitting in traffic, and like the news crew is walking up the lines of traffic because nobody's moving, and they talk to one guy and he's like, "I'm so late, and you'd think they'd have this cleared up by now. I'm going to lose my job. This is unbelievable. This is why, what did my tax dollars go to?" And he's just like screaming at him. And they go to the next guy, and he's like, "I'm good. I left I left home 2 hours early so that I'd have time." And he's like, "I got my coffee. I called my boss, and he understands. He's probably sitting 4 cars up in front of me." And so it really, what you see is very much a direct inflection of who you are. Which is good, because your mentality will take you through life with much less stress, which means you'll live longer. So, fringe benefit.
I know. I have 2 kids. They're only currently 2 and 4. I've got enough.
Yeah. Well, that's why you're patient. Okay, so talk to me a little bit about where you are in your artistry and where you're looking to go.
Right. If I could give you a little bit of history, so I spent the last 10 years being a CPA accountant. When the kids came on board, I dropped down to 3 days a week. Slowly been building up the photography business organically. It started off as a self-funded hobby. and then it's become something that it's much more of interest to me. So I started taking it a bit more seriously, but still keeping it on that part-time basis. What I would like to do is, as the kids roll into school, is be able to transition from away from the accounting into the photography.
Okay.
So
you do accounting full time right now?
3 days a week.
Okay.
It's actually I'm worse. I do financial statement auditing for government. So
that sounds really boring. I would want to move away from that too.
I always explain is my day job sort of sucks the soul out of me, where the photography puts it back in.
Yeah. And so we want to make the side thing your main thing, because you should always be surrounding yourself with things that fulfill you.
Absolutely.
What do you love to shoot? What puts the soul back in you?
People. So it's So I love weddings, and so I know that's not a lot of people who say that, but sort of weddings, portraits, and I do a bit of commercial stuff on the side as well as the events type of thing. But sort of it's the weddings, it's the families, it's the portraits, it's the I'm most happy when I've got someone in front of my lens, and that's something where I want to improve as well.
Okay.
But I pretty much just love having the camera in my hand. So part of what I loved about sort of being with Ollie is he set a few challenges just to go and shoot something different. So did some HDR work, which prior to the Arcanum I would have never thought about doing it all. Did some landscape stuff, did some actual separate creative stuff type thing, and that's what I love as well. Pretty much just love learning.
Okay. So do you love the commercial, or is it just something that you do?
I think it's just something I do. It's the events and stuff like that. Yeah, sort of. Or even just going out and doing a Dan Murphy shoot. Sort of. Yeah, it's still people involved, but sort of it's not not where I'd like to be headed as much.
Okay. So between weddings and portraits, if you could only do one, which one do you love more?
Probably weddings, but it's probably 50-50. It's
okay. Tell me a little bit about your photography business. So you're doing accounting 3 days a week. Are you shooting pretty regularly? Are you getting rates that are where you want to be?
So I've only So yes and no.
Okay.
So absolutely mixed at the moment. It's the carpenter who has a rubbish house, or it's the DI, the sort of like the tradesman that never does it himself. So I've never actually had to really focus and turn the accounting onto myself, and did years of business planning for other people, and sort of it's that sort of spending time stopping, doing it right for myself, I've got a weekend plan where I'm actually leaving the house, and going interstate, so I can just do that somewhere nice where I can shoot during the morning and the evening, but then focus a bit on where I want to be and how would I map it. So similar to what you were saying with Mel. I'd love something that sort of combined both, sort of the artistry, sort of like the posing people, and without making it looking awkward, and sort of just that's something where I think I could benefit from a lot as well. Because as you said, I think sort of as I get better with that side of things, then sort of it's all going to feed into going forward and getting the right kind of clients and the right type of bride and that kind of thing.
Okay. Well, I do think that it's important to note the difference between, like, I don't think, I think with your background that you won't have a problem doing the bookkeeping and the financial side. It's not that as much, but it's a totally different animal trying to figure out the value of your work and your time and setting that up, and they don't teach you that. You know, and some of that is completely subjective, which is why I think so many people struggle with it, because, you know, we're born and bred into this starving artist cliche thing that we get told all the time. But then also, it's like, it's a balance, because when you price yourself really high, you make yourself a target by peers in your industry and by clients, especially in a day and age where everybody has a camera on their phone. Because photography has become more of an everyday thing and less substantial. You know, like I saw a great meme where it had like a grandmother, and it's like, oh, I just got a roll of film developed. There's him riding his bike for the first time, and there's his little brother being born, and that's high school graduation, and that's our wedding, and it's all on one roll of film. And then you look at the last 24 photos on your cell phone, and it's like 4 pictures of your Starbucks order, you know, and 32 selfies, and a picture of your cat, and the new coffee mug you got, and my new dish towels that I just picked up for $2. Like, so photography and our mentality around it has completely changed, because we've actually veered away from writing in words in general, and everything is image-based. And so with that came digital photography, where now we don't pay attention to it because we can take thousands of photos without there being any overhead cost of developing film. So there's no juxtaposition. Like, you know, my kids want those new Polaroid cameras that just came out, and I'm terrified to get them because they're not going to understand the concept that we have to buy the film, you know.
And about $1 a click.
Yeah.
Picking it up.
Yeah, so that's something that, and I was, you know, I only picked up a camera when I turned 25, so I've only had a camera in my hand for 7 years, so my first camera was a digital camera. Before that, I would buy the disposable ones at, like, CVS. So I think with that with everybody going, photography doesn't have a cost, that got mistranslated into photography doesn't have a value. And those are two totally separate things. And I'll tell you why. You know, I had, if you've seen like my profile photo, it's a picture of Dad and I just lost him a couple of weeks ago. And I had those photos taken before my husband went overseas, and he's been home for 6 months. And I posted them all in the last week. You know why? Because I came home and I realized that those were the last photos that were ever going to be shared of his. Now tell me what that's worth.
Yeah, I just had something, a client get in touch with me last week for some photos that I did did family photos for someone earlier in the year. And there was for their grandmother's, it was her 98th birthday. And got the family around, and yeah, shortly afterwards she had a stroke and passed away. And so yeah, I was the last person to take the family photos for them.
Yeah.
So a similar situation.
And we don't think about that at the time. You know, like, we don't consider the fact that every time that we're spending time with someone, and every time that we're taking photos, that might be the last time that we spend time with them, the last time that we celebrate a birthday party, the last time that we go to a fair, the last time that we, you know, take selfie pictures in bed with the kids when they're being silly and making funny faces. Like, you know, there's all this stuff going on. And do you see the evil glare to the kids and the dog? The mom. So I think that we forget how much value what we're doing actually has, and that value increases over time. Like, what do those wedding photos mean now? They're one of the most important days of their lives. What do they mean to their great-grandchildren that aren't born yet?
Yep. Yeah.
You know?
So I should say I'm not pricing myself down. What I've previously been doing is, for some couples, is I've got my price structure. And you might hate this, but I've been offering a portfolio building discount. And so instead of saying I'll do it for $1,000 type of thing, I sort of like it's a $3,500 package. I'm giving you $500 off or $1,000 off as part of the portfolio building package. And so that way, if I'm saying here is my value, here is because I'm getting something out of it as well. So acknowledging that and then sort of going for it. So I haven't quite got and I've slowly been building that up and wiping out that sort of portfolio discount type of thing. And so now it's getting in the new brides and sort of like that at those higher rates and things like that. And I've only just started getting in sort of like what's a wedding album I'm happy with and type of thing, and who am I happy going with and stuff like that. So.
Right. And I don't hate anything, by the way. The only thing that I really jumped down on is spot coloring, because that should have never happened in our industry, and hand brows. But as far as business, I think that there's this stigmatism, and I did an article on this for F-Stop Lounge too, is that people think that in order to be a successful photographer that you have to be high-end. You know, you're successful when you're charging $5,000 for a wedding. You're not successful when you're charging $500 for a wedding. But I know the high-end photographer that's charging $5,000 and books one wedding for the season, and the $500 photographer books 200 events and makes 3 times the amount of money that the $5,000 photographer does.
Yep.
And then they argue that they're bringing the industry down, and you know, that they're not valuing their time, which isn't necessarily accurate either. Like a good friend of mine that does boudoir charges $200 a session. Nobody has left my studio in the last 3 years paying any less than $2,500. And he was getting frustrated and disgruntled because I was so high, and he was having people cancel on him because his rates were too high. And he's like, I don't understand. And he's like, I had 6 cancellations this month. And I looked at him and I went, I didn't have 6 sessions this month.
Huh.
You know, so it's a timing thing. So when you look at it, you know, at $200 a month as opposed to $2,000 a month, he has to do 10 sessions in order to make the same amount of money that I make in 1 session, which makes it sound like I'm more successful than him, except for I have young kids. My husband was deployed. He just came back, so I was a single mom. I work in the Arcanum. I also am doing the book project, so I have a lot of other stuff going on. I don't want to do 3 sessions a day. That man lives to be in his studio. He'll do 3 sessions a day and be upset that he didn't get in 4. So it's really just about priority, and that's what, like Jake said, you know, I don't care about fame or fortune. I want time with my family. So for him, a higher-end model works where it's high price equals low volume, you know?
Yep.
But every industry, there's always all 3. Like, there's always the low-end models, and people are like, well, people don't understand because they're not photographers. It's only in the photography industry that that, you know, you have people that will go and take their own wedding photos. And the girl that's having this conversation with me, while she's having this conversation with me, is in the process of dyeing her hair with box dye, and it was like lemon meringue or something. And I'm like, do you think that there was not a hairstylist in Target an hour ago that was cringing at the fact that you were buying box dye instead of going to a professional? You know, like...
Yeah.
So it's everything, you know. There's McDonald's, and then there's Moritamo's. You know, there's always going to be a high and a low end. You can run a really successful business at either. It just depends on how you want to spend your time and what you want to do. So I don't have a problem with that at all. You can work for free every day of your life because you absolutely love being a part of weddings. And when you're done, you'll have shot 8,000 weddings, and you will have given priceless heirlooms to that many families and their future generations. I would call that a success. Money means very little except for the fact that you need it to pay for everything else. So if this isn't making you money, then you have to spend your time accounting, or you have to spend your time, you know, at whatever your other job is. And the less money you make here, the more time you have to take away from what you love in order to survive, because that is reality in adulthood. So when I focus on money, it's actually not about the money itself. It's about getting you the ability to spend your time the way you want. Because for me, success is getting to say, I did not do anything, not a single thing that I didn't want. You know how I know I'm successful? Because I just picked up Sphere 2. You know what I'm doing with all your tuitions? I am hiring someone to come in and do the laundry, and now I have made it because I will not spend my time doing laundry anymore because I hate it. So I want to thank you all for that.
Every time we see a nicely pressed shirt.
I am. I'm going to Instagram it and put it in Sphere 2 and write thank you notes to you guys all the time.
We contributed.
I do. It's a really bad. Like I have a serious debate with myself at the end of every month about whether I'm going to do the laundry or start a nudist colony in my home.
I'm sure your neighbors would have a have a say one way or another.
Yeah. So no, I don't have a problem with you offering a portfolio building thing. I think that's a little dangerous, just because I think that you're sort of training them that if you're using their images that they should be getting a discount. So I would be careful about the wording with that, but I'm okay with you being at a lower rate. For me, it's in my contract. I get to use all of my clients' photos. Now, go ahead.
I was going to say, I've always got that in the contract as well. I got an agreement with them as well, and I've pretty much the last few weddings that I've been doing is tapered that off and not really offering that that portfolio building discount. So not doing that as much anymore. So what I should say is I'm still making the money from it. What I'm doing at the moment is it's not enough to just move out of the accounting. So it's supplementing the days that I'm not working, so the part-time income. But sort of so what I want to do is build it up to where it can take over.
Okay. So ideally for you, the best thing that I could do for you coming in at Sphere 2 and leaving at level 30 would be to have you walk out at level 30 quitting your accounting job. Yeah? Okay.
Or at least in that path, yeah. I'm on the path to that.
Okay. What else?
Okay, so I told you, multi-directional, multi-facet sort of goals. So the other ones are around sort of the artistry, around sort of improving my photography. If I'm going to get the type of bride I want, or the type of family that I want, I want to improve my photography. I'm also a member of the AIPP, which is the Australian Institute of Professional Photography. I want to be putting up images in competitions that are award-winning. That's my goal. Ollie threw down the gauntlet when he talked about how long it took him to get his gold, and so I have a time limit. I have a challenge. I think.
What is the time limit?
I think he said 4 years, and he shot specifically for it, type of thing. So, like, and I'm not sure on the percentages, but you're probably like top 1% type of thing in terms of getting those.
Okay. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to contact Ollie, and I'm going to send him an invite to Sphere 2, and I'm going to have him post this illustrious gold-winning image. Yeah. And part of our Sphere 2 is going to be destroying that and submitting to competition. I'm going to see if I can get you to do it in one. And then we're going to have to all sit down and have Tim Tams together to celebrate.
Absolutely.
I love it. Okay, so with improving your artistry and getting to that, what do you think needs the most improvement?
Throughout the spheres, one of the things I've been wanting to work on is posing.
Posing. Okay.
I know you said that comes naturally to you. That's awesome because it doesn't to me. And that's part of it. So even if it's just being able to give direction to people, just without. So one thing that I like to do is I like to document a wedding type of thing without directing it type of too much. Like I think the photography should be an important thing, but it shouldn't be the most important thing or overtake it. So I don't want to be stand here, put your hand here type of thing too much. But I want to be able to get better at it so I can give better cues and have a better idea in my head of be a bit more confident, I guess, in that.
Okay, that sounds good. So posing, how are you feeling about lighting, about composition, about retouching?
All of it could be improved. All of it, I'm happy with to a level, but sort of happy. Yeah, as I want to just continue learning. Keep the snowball rolling.
Okay.
And so if there's anything glaring.
What do you think is your greatest strength as an artist?
I don't know.
Oh. All right, I need an answer to that before you can come in.
Being able to connect with people and getting them to relax.
Good.
If that's not a cop out.
That's a very, very important strength, especially for portrait photography.
Yeah.
You're a landscape photographer, it might not benefit you as much, but yeah, portraits and weddings, essential.
Yeah, I think that's what I actually like about it, is the fact that I can connect with people really, really quickly. I had a groom said to me the other day, sort of like, you know, he said he didn't expect to be friends after this type of thing. He said he didn't expect to, like, you know, because I was with him almost the entire wedding, and his words were, it's a bond you can't break, and that's what I like. I like having that connection with people and building it.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna work on your business side and in the income to move away from accounting. Can you give me a general idea of what we're looking for in terms of income? If you can give me an overall monthly thing, like I would love to be making $10,000 a month, or at minimum I'd like to be making $2,000 a month. Like it can be anything, but just give me a general idea.
Part of the weekend that I said I'm going to go away and actually do some stuff was part of this, but I have a rough figure of about $16,000 a month.
Okay.
But the reason for that is I have a pretty good government salary with about an 18 to 19% superannuation.
Okay.
So if I'm not to jeopardize the family and to continue moving that forward, that's it. Type of thing. So, and that's working out all of the expenses that I think I would be incurring in my own business as well.
Okay.
But that's what I need to sort of go away and actually nut out, because they're all just rounded out figures type of thing. Sort of like, I'm looking at the spreadsheet and it's like petrol $5,000, and like I've not actually costed that to say, is that actually reasonable? Like replacing year $20,000, personal development, that kind of thing. It's like, so.
Totally reasonable.
That number might get smashed, yeah.
No, it's totally reasonable. I think that's a good number.
What I've also built into that is a return on investment. So I want to be, if I'm going to be going into business, what I've always explained to my clients is you don't go into business and you don't have to buy your own job. So you don't pay to have an income. So if you're going to have a business, it needs to be earning a super profit, or you need to be returning part of that investment. If you're going to, so you've got to be earning above your normal wage, because otherwise what you're basically doing is supplementing and paying for yourself to have a job.
Right. That's a really good. I'm gonna log that away and pretend that I came up with that.
But we can talk about it later.
Paying for the job. I like it. That's it.
Well,
I've never heard it put that way, and that's really accurate, actually. Okay, that's a really good number. All right, so we've got the artistry, posing definitely, crushing Ollie's score, building a wedding business. I think those are all achievable goals, and that would be a good one. What is the most important thing for you in your Arcanum experience? What would you like more of? What would you like the focus to be?
Growth.
Growth.
I want to, yeah, that's sort of whether it's the business, the artistry, the whole thing. If I can, that's to continue improving.
Okay.
And so for the business side, I've been making sure I'm pointed in the right direction. For my own sort of photos, that they're improving, that I'm getting better, that I'm learning something.
Okay, that sounds good. What's the ideal master in the ideal community? What is it that you want to see in Sphere 2?
I think the way you've been explaining it's pretty good.
Okay. You're low maintenance. You and I are going to be fine.
I try to be. I think as long as I'm learning, as long as there's involvement, it's like there's like the community is a big thing for me. Sort of, I do like that sort of. I have been learning as much. Like, you know, you asked whether we learned as much from the other people, the other apprentices, and I had sort of like, you know, they were a big part of opening my eyes and seeing what I could do, seeing how I could improve. Plus, just opening my eyes to the concept of sort of like, you know, not all HDR is gaudy and disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
There is there is more out there. It's sort of like, you know, sort of one of the things that I had never had before is I never thought I could swap out someone's arm and someone's head and do that in Photoshop, but then I found out it's actually really easy. It's sort of like, you know, so it's sort of, my eyes have been opened a lot.
Okay, good. All right, well, I think that's pretty all-encompassing. We can touch base again to go over, but basically what I want to do for Sphere 2 is I wanted to kind of get to know you guys and see, you know, I think after spending some time too, you guys will have a much better idea of whether I'm a good fit for you. If not, you can wait for the next master to get leveled up, which I won't say officially, but I will say will be soon. After me, I have a couple of days jump. So, you know, at this point, I think that the apprentices should be very selective about who they're going with too. For me, I don't pick based on genre. I don't pick based on talent as much as I do based on personality. I look for the people that I think have the potential for greatness in them. So if I reached out to you, you're one of them. So what I want to do is invite you guys in, and then if you accept, we'll spend some time, instead of just waiting for like the 4-level critique, we'll do some one-on-one time at the beginning, and we'll basically custom build your sphere together into 10 levels. I'm also going to do it differently because I don't think that they have to build upon each other, so it'll be the kind of thing that you'll have 10 tasks, but they won't have to be done in chronological order to the listing. So when you're done one of them, we'll level you up 1 level. That way, if you get stuck at something, or you have writer's block, or you know we're doing an image, but you're not going to do it until 3 months from now when you're traveling, you don't sit at that level. You can still keep moving throughout it. And then I think the Hangouts are going to be a really good thing for Sphere 2, and just keeping that personal connection. And then there'll probably just be some individual assignments and challenges that everyone can participate in, because the one thing that I did see with testing this out before was that everybody was going in such different directions that I think we lost a little bit of the community at Sphere 1, because everyone was so focused on what they were doing and they were really excited and in it, but it didn't really relate to what everybody else was doing, so it was a little disjointed, I found, and I really liked the community aspect, and I feel like I didn't anticipate that that would be something that was severed. But I also think that that has to do with the kind of people that you pick. So that's what I'm thinking. Do you have any feedback or questions, comments, concerns on that?
No concerns at all. That sounds all really good.
Okay. Awesome. I will be touching base with you very shortly then, in the next 24 hours. Awesome. Okay, oh, wow. Lisa, I have about 12 minutes, and then I have a hangout with Lori.
It's all good.
So well, I get to hang out with you in the Path of the Protege. Like, I already know about you.
Yeah, you know me.
So, but I do want to hear a little bit about your Arcanum experience as an apprentice, and where you're at, and where you see yourself going, and if you want to do Sphere 2 while you're training, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and I had originally thought too that I would wait on a Sphere 2 till I was done with the path, and I actually thought I would be done with it by now, but life has gotten in the way a little bit, and so I'm hoping to finish that up in the next couple of weeks, now that I am officially unemployed. And so, you know, so I would like to do a Sphere 2, but I don't know if I should maybe even just wait to even consider it until, or like wait to do one until like September. August is going to be really busy for me, because between I'm helping plan Trey's LA photo walk, and I'm going to take my first vacation in like 20 years.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's like now that I'm not looking for another job or anything for like the entire month of August, because it's time for me to like just take some of my severance money and go somewhere. And, and that ties into what I want to do, too, because that's really what I want to do with my photography is I want to go to places, I want to do road trips, and I want to travel and take the photos and write stories and that kind of thing. And I haven't really gotten to go anywhere for a while. So my plan is to be gone for a couple weeks, and then I'll come back, and then, there's the photo walks, and, and I've got to do my daughter's engagement photos and all that kind of stuff. So I do want to do a sphere too. I just don't want to start it quite yet.
Okay, that's fine. That's not a problem at all. I'm more just interested in what you would like to see in your sphere too.
Oh, that's a hard one. Eventually I would like to not have to go look for another job, even though I realize that that's probably what I'm going to have to do for at least, another year or so.
Why?
Well, I need to build up to a place where I can actually make some money with my photography. And I think it's a lot different, for, say, like, a portrait photographer where you've got a whole bunch of clients and all that kind of thing. It's like, for me, I find it is harder with being a landscape photographer, which is why I'm doing more of the, I'm trying to learn, get more into the teaching side and that kind of thing. And don't get me wrong, I would love to like sell a bazillion prints and all that kind of thing, but I'm not Trey. And
no,
but it takes that. I think it's probably going to take some time to get to a place where I can jump into all of that full time. I mean, if I'm totally off in that would be awesome. But because like right now I'm not really making anything off of my photography.
Okay.
I'm really spending more money than I am actually making money. And it's just like, like I'm sitting and figuring out, okay, I'm getting this much more severance. How long can I wait before I go get a job? To live off of that.
Have you figured out the answer to that?
Well, considering I haven't gotten all of it yet, I think I can probably go maybe 6 months between severance, because I'm also, in a leap of faith, I'm buying new gear right off the bat, which originally I said I'm not buying new gear until I know how much that money I don't have to live off of. But I've decided to buy new gear now, because it's like if I don't do it now, it'll never happen.
So, can I give you some tough love for a minute?
Sure.
Okay.
I expect that from you, Jessica.
Okay, so here's what I'm hearing though is that you're, you've left one job and you're in a transitional phase and you're debating on what to do. The part of you that is saying, I have to get another job because I can't make money at photography and I have to build up, that's fear-based. There's no fact base anywhere in that. It's completely fear. Tell me I'm wrong.
Oh yeah, it's totally fear, because I know exactly what bills I have to pay.
Okay, fear is a terrible reason to make any decision.
That's true.
Okay, so but you just went and bought new gear for what you just pushed back and said was going to be a hobby. Because if you go looking for another job, then whatever you do, that will be your job, and this will be a hobby. Perhaps a hobby that you sometimes make money at, but you just invested money in a hobby instead of your career. Correct?
Well, when you put it that way, I suppose so, yes.
Okay, so, but you did that, you said, as a leap of faith. A leap of faith in what?
That if I spend the money on the gear now, that I'll find another job before I run out of money. Okay.
Here's the thing. There are more photos that are sold in the year are sold of landscapes than any other genre of photography. The most successful photographer in the Arcanum is its founder, who happens to be a landscape photographer. I know more successful landscape photographers that make all of their money based off of landscape than I do any other genre of photography that try to sell their images. Your client base is bigger than anybody else in the world. Portrait photographers, their client is usually the subject. It is very, very hard, no matter how pretty the picture is that I take, for me to sell somebody else a picture of someone that they don't know. Does that all make sense?
that makes sense. Yeah.
Landscape, however, you have businesses. You know, you have lobbies in hotels, in banks, in hotel rooms. You have travel books. You have blogs. You have wallpapers and digital realms, and you also have all of the civilians, because I will take and hang a beautiful photo. Right now in my dining room, I have 2 pictures. One of them is a family portrait that my friend Charles took for me before Mike went overseas, and the other one is a floral photograph that my husband bought me before he was my husband, and it's just pretty. Like, he just liked it, and he bought it for my birthday about 12 to 15 years ago. Why not you?
I mean, I don't think it's not possible. I just think it. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. That it's going to take some time to get to that place.
Okay. So
you know what I'm saying? It's going to take more time to get to the place where I can make what I need to make to be able to do it full time. Then I have time to spare. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like, I know exactly how much I'm going to have to make per month in order to survive. And it's going to be more than what...
Do you feel okay sharing that with me?
Yeah, I mean...
Like, just give me an estimate monthly.
Like, the job I had, you know, I was bringing home $3,000 a month.
Okay. So
and that's barely making it, you know, and so
let's up it. Let's
on top of that, you got to up that, because then you have to pay your own taxes, and you have to get your own health insurance, which I'm freaking out about right now. But you know, so I mean, realistically, I probably would have to make somewhere around $5,000 a month in order to be in the place that I am, you know, to keep everything together and still be able to do some of the travel that I want to be able to do.
Okay. Let's say 6.
All right, let's say 6.
Okay. Here's my challenge to you, and I think that this will be really good for you because you're also getting ready to start a cohort. This will be very helpful for your apprentices. Are you running a landscape-based cohort? Is that your idea?
Yeah, it'll be landscape-based. You know, general. You know, obviously, you know, be able to, but it'll be more towards the landscape stuff because I don't really know all that much about portraits, and to the point where I would want to try to teach somebody about that. But you know, general photography, but with the landscape focus. Yeah.
Okay, so I think it would be really beneficial and really educational for the people to. And it'll be helpful for you too as you pull them in, for them to see an earnest and authentic effort to make this a full-time career, because they can go with you in it in real time. They can follow you on the journey, and not many people get to do that. Most of us have our idols, and we look at people like Trey and we go, oh, he's like so successful, he's got more followers on G+ than Britney Spears. I want to be Trey Ratcliffe when I grow up. But you didn't see him in year 1, you know, when he wasn't making any money and he was taking places, local things, and you know, nobody knew who he was. So this is really the chance for people to go with you. And I'm a big believer that you go fast alone, but you go far when you go together. So you actually have the potential as a master to take a group of people with you and be 2 steps ahead of them and go, this is the problem I encountered today, watch out for this, and then they can step around that, and that will, you know, that will help you as master. My challenge to you would be that if you think that, you know, you're at a point where you have severance from the job and you can take 6 months off, I would give it 6 months. I would go into the cohort right now. I think you should come in, you should study with me, and give me 6 months of time to build you up. Because here's the thing is, let's say your concern right now is that it'll take too long to build your photography business, and that you'll run out of money, so having another job is a more practical decision. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just say, for the sake of argument, that we knew in advance how long it was going to take you to be a full-time working pro, and let's say that that is 3 years. Okay? If you spend 6 months working with me now on that, You can put in 8 hours a day, you can put in 12 hours a day, you can put in 15 hours a day. It depends on how much you want to work for it, because that's the trade-off. So if it takes you, we'll say, 1 year to get to that point, working 8 hours a day, then it would take you 6 months putting in 16 hours a day. Only you know what your priorities are in order to cut that time down. But I think that you actually have been presented the same exact opportunity that I got. Because we went through this too. I kept telling my husband, I have the kids and you're working all the time. And they were really young at the time. They were 2 and 4. Chris will understand. And they're always underfoot. If I just had the time to really invest in my business, I could be successful. If I just had studio space, and I had all of these excuses in front of me. And then you know what happened? My husband's orders got canceled, and the renter that was renting the other house that we had abandoned the property. So I was down $5,000 a month in income from our home. And at that point, I was, shooting a couple of weddings at I think I was at $1,000 or maybe $1,500. So I was making some money here and there, but I was not working as a photographer. I was a momographer. And, so we were down $5,000 a month in monthly income. I was making maybe $500 to $1,000 a month here and there, and we had another $1,500 to $2,000 of expenses because we had this whole other building that had been abandoned. And I was freaking out about it. We're going to lose our houses, we're going to foreclose, we don't have a job, what am I going to do? And he looked at me and he said, you just got everything that you asked for. And I said, what? And he said, you said that you needed time. Guess who's home to take care of the kids all day right now? And you said that you needed space. You've got an entire house that we already own, that everything's already in our name. It was a beautiful house. It had so much character. It was perfect for taking pictures for boudoir. You can have as many sets as you want. You can have one of the bedrooms as an office. You have a full kitchen in there. You can run it out. Everything that you were talking about doing just got handed to you. Go put your money where your mouth is. Guess what I did?
You did.
I went and I was scared to death, and I mean tears over it. It is scary. It is always scary every time you step out of your comfort zone. It was scary the first time that you got up off your hands and knees and stood and waddled across the floor, and you did fall on your face quite a few times. Please go see your parents and ask them how many bruises and bumps you got and how many moments they had, watching you bump into things. That's part of the success. If you don't do that, then you don't learn how to walk. And if you don't learn how to walk, you don't learn how to run. And if you don't learn how to run, you don't learn how to dance and skip and ride a bike. This is part of the process for you. So I'm perfectly okay with you being afraid. I'm not okay with you allowing that fear to stop you from what you want to do. So this is your opportunity right now. Right now, you have a profound opportunity that you are probably never going to get again. So if you take 6 months off and you look for another job, basically what you're saying is, this is what I want to do. I just don't want to do it enough, and I don't want to do it more than I'm afraid of what the potential outcomes can be. And it's 6 months that you have pay coming in. So it's not like you need to pay the bills this month. I needed to pay the bills this month, when we did that. And I had, we had little benefits, he was able to go on unemployment for a couple of months in the meantime, but we needed the money right now. So if you have enough saved up that you can take a couple of months and you're not oh my God, how am I going to pay the bills on the 1st in 7 days? This is your chance. This is the world offering you the opportunity to go pursue this and make this your main thing. Do you want to take it?
Yeah. It's scary though. I have and I totally get what you're saying, and I totally want to do that. But yeah, there is fear, because there is nobody else to fall back on, It's,
okay.
It's me, there's no couch to sleep on. You know what I'm saying? So those things do, they get in your head, if you think, okay, I'm not, like you said, I'm not freaking out right now. I've got, I've got a little bit of money that that they're giving me, and it'll get me through between that and unemployment. It'll get me through about 6 months.
Okay.
And just like yesterday, we went and found my daughter's wedding dress, and she was freaking out. She's because that was of course more than we than we had planned to spend, but it was just perfect, you know. And so it's kind of funny. I guess maybe I gave her the same pep talk you're giving me, because I said, we'll figure it out. You know, I said, you know, she said, but the money, Mom, you know, we weren't, you know, and I said, we'll figure it out. You know, we gave him half the money and said, we'll figure it out. And I said, but, you know, I said, if I don't find a job, I'm sleeping on your couch. You know. But
it's all very valid fears. You know, like, I don't want you to feel like I'm invalidating that at all, because I'm not. You know, like, this is your life. This is everything riding on this.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
You get a certain amount of time here, and you are a third, if not halfway through it. And I am very, very aware of my mortality this week after losing Dad, and he was only 58.
Yeah, that's how old my mom was when she passed.
You know, so we don't know, you know, like, you know, for all intents and purposes, I'm young and healthy, but that's not going to stop a bus from running me over if it's my time to go. I lost my best friend at 19, and she was the picture of health before she got diagnosed with a really rare kind of cancer. Like, there's just no rhyme or reason to it.
Yeah.
So we have this finite amount of time, and we don't know how much it is. The best thing that you can do is spend your time well. So if you know that this is what you love and what you want to do, this is the opportunity for you to do it. And it is scary. And it's supposed to be. You know, finding your thing does not make it easy. Finding your thing makes it work all of the work that you have to do to get it. And my concern is that if you fall back on the fear that most people do, you know, here's the thing, is that if in 6 months you're still right here with your business and you're not making any money, then go get a job. You always have that to fall back on. But right now, I would say that if you have 5 months, and in that 5 months we can put away another $12,000 for you, with your estimate of being around $3,000 a month bring home minimum, then at 12 months we just bought you another 4 months to build your studio. And at that point we've already done all that work, so it gets easier to build it and we can keep building it out. Then not only do you have enough money, but you also have a buffer of going, hey, I've got 3 months of savings in here to get me through. So if this next month is really slow and I only make 1,000, that's okay, because I have it covered, and the month after that I'll make 8. You know, I don't think that it's unreasonable at all, and I think that being that you have been in the Arcanum, being that you're in the Path of the Protege, and being how many working landscape photographers there are, that you are probably in a better position to reach out to the experienced people making money the way that you want to make money right now. And I think that some of it is universal. Like, it's easier when your subject is the client, and unfortunately not too many pine trees buy this portraits you take of them. But you know, but on the other hand, like we were saying before, your potential client base is enormous, because you have home decor, and you have business decor, and you have digital files, and you have books. Like, there's an endless supply of potential clients for you. So I think that you're at a crossroads right now, and I think that if you really want it, that there's a reason that you're going through this right now while you're at the edge. I think that I can help. I really genuinely do. I may not be able to get you exactly to there, but that's only because the bottom line is that I'm your personal trainer.
Yep.
So I can show you the proper technique. I can tell you how many reps to do. I can scream and holler at you. I can motivate you, or I can beat you down, but you cannot pay me to do your push-ups for you. What do you think?
Yep. I mean, this is what I want to do. I don't want to have to go back and work in an office for the next 20 years again. Unless I just absolutely have to, you know, I want to be able to do what I love, obviously. And you're right, you know, like you said, you know, life is short. You know, both my parents passed away before they hit 60, and you know, I'm going on 46. So if God forbid, you know, that gives me maybe 12 years. You know, do I want to spend those, you know, sitting in an office? And the answer is no. It's not, you know. And so I think I need to give this a try because, yeah, I mean, like you said, it's just very scary, you know. I mean, for the first time in my entire life, I have a $468 car payment every month, you know. But you know, this is what I want to do, and I know this is what I want to do.
Okay.
It's
How
just
many hours?
getting there.
How many hours are you working at your job, or were you working?
40
Are you
hours.
putting in an 8-hour. Okay. Are you
Yeah.
willing to put in 80? Are you willing to put in 60?
Oh yeah.
Are you?
Mhm.
Okay. Because that's really what it is. You will have to work harder for yourself than you have ever had to work for someone else. I've put in more hours and cried and struggled and sweated, you know, doing this and gone to bed at midnight and gotten up at 3 to make it happen. Like, you do have to do that, you know, and you don't have the motivation to do that when you're on an office job. Then you just do it for the paycheck. This is not for the paycheck. This is for the passion. So you will have to work harder at it. So the bottom line is that if you want to do this and you have 6 months of time, then you don't have 3 years or 4 years. So you have two choices. You can look at it and go, I'll just get another job because it'll take me too long to build it, or you can go, I'll just put in the work now. I will live right now like most other people won't live, so that next year I can live how they can't. And I can spend my time doing exactly what I want. And everyone will be buying my names. And Trey will be calling me going, hey, can you give me some pointers on that last sale that you did? You know? Like, that's the goal, right?
Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah.
And I think that it's totally possible. I really genuinely do. And there's one determining factor, and that is you. So here's what I want you to do. I know you're going through the path of the protege, and that takes up some time and energy. But on the benefit side, that's also, once you start that, that's going to bring in some income. So that's going to actually lower the amount that you have to make from your sales, because that'll sort of compensate. I want to spend some time with you if you decide that you want this. But you're going to be a results not typical case. You know, like, you hear that, like, with all the, you know, they made $8,000 in 24 minutes, or they lost 40 pounds in 1 month. You know what results not typical are? They put in more work than you.
Yeah.
That's really all it is. Like, my husband said that because I was looking through and I was like, I really want to lose weight. I'm looking at this, I'm looking at that, I'm looking at this diet plan, I'm looking at that exercise regime, whatever. What do you think I should do? And he went, Jess, they all work. Every single one of them work. You know why people fail at diets? Because they cheat, because they go get cake, you know, because they sit and eat popcorn while they're watching, you know, P90X, which I may have done once or twice. You know? So it's just the amount of work. So what you really need to decide is, do you want this enough to do the work? Because you will work harder for this than you have at anything else in your life, so you better love it. And that's a lot of what Sphere 2 is going to be, is that some people are going to come to terms with the fact that what they think they can make money at is not what they love, which is good, because then they can set that aside. And that's why usually when I ask the question, I don't ask, you know, if you could make money, if you could have your dream career, what would you get paid to do? I ask, if I was going to send you $10,000 a month every month for the rest of your life and you never had to work another day again, what would you do with your time? Because that answer determines a lot about how your business should be structured and what you should be doing.
Yep.
So if this is it for you, I don't see a problem or anything to stress over. I see an amazing opportunity that just got offered to you, where you have half of a year to do nothing but focus on building a business that you can be around and that you can be proud of and that fulfills you.
Cool.
So if you decide that this is something that you want to do, I will be right there and I will work alongside you, and you will have untapped access to me. But I really want you to sit and think about it, and I want you to drop me a line and say, I promise, like, I'm committed, and I will put in double the hours, and I will work 7 days a week to be able to do this in 6 months, so that I don't have to give something else up. And then even if you don't, even if 6 months you look at it and you go, I'm not there yet, I have to take something else to supplement, then you did all of that work, which if we were looking at 3 years until you got there, you probably just took off half that time. So then you go back to work for a year and then quit and do this full time. But it's going to shorten the distance. Essentially what we're saying is, you know, you're going to run a 10-mile race, but we're going to start off the starting line sprinting. So even if you have to slow down and walk or sit down, you're going to be further than you would have been if you didn't do it. But you have to make that choice first. Otherwise, nothing I'm doing will help.
Yep. No, that looking at it that way, it makes a lot of difference too. Yeah.
Okay. Good. All right, I have to go. I'm supposed to be on a call with Lori, but I'm glad that she'll be fine with it. So yes, if you're ready and when you're ready, drop me a line, and that can be now, it can be in a month, it can be in a year. You know, that's totally up to you and your path. But cool. I see the universe opening up to offer you the opportunity to do this. So, you know, opportunities usually come dressed in overalls and disguised as hard work, which is why we often miss them.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out. That was a really long hangout. You guys are champs. I love your stamina.
Thanks, Jess.
All right. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Talk to you later.
Bye.